Podcast Network Asia.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Austin Creed.
I said give me a hell yeah!
Hey, this is Zeta Zane.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Talent is not sexually transmitted.
You need to go back to the drawing board because your game absolutely sucks!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I'm Lewis Howley. I'm Sam Spoker. We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT UK champion, and you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You are watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romaran, Chino Liao, Emil ASH, Rowan ASH, all together, all complete on our 9th anniversary week as a podcast because on April 7, 2014, that's when Ro and I sat in that fateful production booth at Mellow 94.7, RIP, and recorded the very first official episode of the pod. And 9 years later, here we are reviewing our 10th WrestleMania on the pod. And we're going to tell you in a bit how we plan to celebrate our 9th anniversary here on the show. But I just want to say thank you first to everybody for attending our WrestleMania party. Palakpakan para sa inyo. You guys made our WrestleMania weekend. You the ones. Obviously I wasn't there, but from the stories in Emil, Rowan, Chino, it sounds like you guys had a blast. Some more than others, but it was nice to get everybody back in the viewing party atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yeah. I at first I didn't miss it kasi syempre, the chants are weird, but still, eventually, I did kasi nakakamiss talaga. Like, this is the energy you want, especially at our shows, local wrestling shows. So, na-miss ko yung fact na this crowd will pop for almost anything that's borderline cool, at least. Diba? So, that's the kind of thing you want to hear on a show, whether it's wrestling or whether it's local or WWE. So, hindi naging awkward for sure. I mean, with the energy, there were no awkward silences. And it tells me that all of y'all miss watching wrestling with fellow fans. So I was afraid actually that there weren't going to be as many people because we have Disney Plus and it's cheap and it's way cheaper than the network and you get WWE along with the Disney stuff, diba? And you might prefer not waking up and heading all the way to BGC and just watching at home, diba? But no, you guys made the trip, made the effort, paid up especially, and had fun with us and your fellow wrestling fans. So that's cool, and that tells us that it's not going to be the last time we're going to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, my brother and I were, sabihin ko lang quickly, my brother and I were supposed to fly out for WrestleMania. Unfortunately, naudlot yung mga plano namin. But reverse side of things, we still got to experience WrestleMania in an environment full of fans na yun nga that pop and mark out on anything and everything. And iba talaga yung atmosphere niya eh. So the next time one of these viewing parties comes up, I suggest if you really are a wrestling fan, if you really are...
Gatekeep?
Hindi naman. If you are... I even think that's gatekeep anyway. I'm not... If you really are a wrestling fan, di ba gagawin mo ng paraan yan? Kasi iba yung atmosphere niya eh.
Yeah.
Di ba? Iba yung feeling na may kasama kang nag-cheer. Hindi ka mukhang tanga na nag-cheer ka lang mag-isa sa bahay, di ba?
It would stop you from destroying anything because you can't destroy anything in the public space.
Ikaw, Emil, as the newest member of the pod, what was it like attending your first viewing party as a member of the pod?
This is the first viewing party ever, not just as a member of the pod.
Ever. Yes, so this was the first time I actually watched wrestling with the crowd. I was also watching wrestling alongside me. And sobrang saya na experience. I got to meet a lot of people, got to see some of our listeners as well. So, yeah, sobrang saya. And namaos ako for the 2 days that I was there. After Monday, I almost can't speak. And I know we recorded our Picks of the Week episode. I was still paused pa ako at that time. So, but now I'm back to 100%. And pero yung experience na yun, hindi ko makakalimutan. Again, thank you to everyone who went there. Thank you to our partners, our sponsors. That was a great WrestleMania viewing party. And a great for my first time.
Ikaw, Rowan, may nag-challenge ba sa'yo for the WWE Championship? Kasi dala-dala mo yung title eh.
Oh, you did not see my picture? Did not see my photos? Yeah, I have to address Get Cotton's comment here in the YouTube chat. I can't say anything bad about our partners from Disney Plus, but I will tell you that the big screen sa bar, it made it look a lot better. Like, if there's any reason for you to come to our party, it's because the big screen, your main TV, it made it look way better than you might normally do it, than you might normally see on your phone or on your own TV. So, try niyo yan. It wasn't, it wasn't that, that what you were saying when we were seeing it in front of us in the bar's huge ass screen.
Let's shout out Aaron, the brother of our very own Emil ASH, who's watching the stream for the first time.
He's outside this room. So.
Pasukin mo, sama mo na dito. Joke lang.
All right.
He's happy. He just heard your comment. So.
Okay. Before
I can hear him.
Before we get to this next event that we're promoting, since promoters na rin tayo dito sa Wrestling Podcast, we gotta let you know first that we've got a growing Patreon community. In fact, yung Patreon community natin, makakatikim sila ng WrestleMania pasabay, which is actually being shipped already as we speak. So, Emil, let the good people know how they can be part of our Patreon community.
All right, so you can be a part of our Patreon community by subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5 or sa local currency natin, so around 260 or 270 pesos depending sa exchange rate. So Stan mentioned the pasabays, which just happened last week, and as of this moment, it's being shipped out now. So for the next one, if you want to get your authentic WWE, AEW, or any other wrestling merch, you could get it through us the next time we do it. Also included in the Patreon program is the review content of the weekly wrestling shows like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, and also our Discord community where you can interact with your fellow podcasts and interact with us as well, where we talk about wrestling and everything. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the podcast. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5.
All right. Sabi ko nga, we are now promoters as well, and we've got a new event that we'd like you to be part of because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are celebrating our 9th anniversary, and we're going to do it big over at the PNA Studios, April 23, 2023. That is the Sunday after 420. 6 p.m. at the PNA Studios located at Decagon, Silver City, sa may Tiendesitas. We're inviting everyone to be part of our live podcast recording. So if you didn't get enough of my co-hosts at the viewing party, you can meet us, say hi. Maybe you can grab some snacks or coffee kung may mahanap tayong sponsor, and we'll record a special 9th anniversary episode at the PNA Studios. Tickets are available at 200 pesos. Just go check out pnalive.com for your tickets. For the patrons, meron kaming limited number of free tickets. So go check out our Discord community where you can access those free tickets. Last I checked, meron pa tayong ilan na up for grabs. So for everybody else who's not a patron, this is your call to go buy your tickets now at pnalive.com. That's 200 pesos. We'll see you at our 9th anniversary celebration, April 23. That's a Sunday at 6 p.m. at the Podcast Network Asia Studios. All right. It's our WrestleMania reactions, review / feelings show. So we've got a lot to discuss, but we're going to skip ahead before we break down WrestleMania. Let's talk about some news from outside / inside the ring, because meron bali-balita na lumabas na Vince McMahon, the WWE chairman, is reportedly back in some form of role in creative. And nireport ni na Sean Ross Sapp at ng ibang mga sources sa internet that this week's Raw had several rewrites na si Vince nakaupo na sa gorilla position where he has always traditionally been. Meron ding ibang nagsasabi na yung moral medyo bumaba, particularly sa locker room. And it was also reported that there was a staff meeting in light of the Endeavor sale, which we'll talk about in a bit. Na Triple H was actually reassuring the roster na nothing would change in terms of creative kasi siya pa rin yung chief content officer. So Chino, I'm going to start with you. What went through your mind when this bit of news made its rounds on the internet?
It actually goes hand in hand with the much bigger news that WWE was purchased by Endeavor Entertainment, which we'll get to in a bit. Because according to other sources online, see Endeavor is actually doing its due diligence and trying to see who the best person is to run the WWE content that they just purchased. So apparently, according to some sources, si Vince yung tinignan nila sa Raw and they weren't impressed. And this Friday SmackDown, they'll have Triple H take the helm and try and run things and see between the two, Triple H and Vince, kung sino yung mas papatok sa kanilang purchase. Which is makes sense kasi, di ba, bumuli ka ng billion-dollar company. So, kailangan malaman mo talaga lahat ng nangyayari sa loob. Now, as far as Vince being back in charge made me feel that I had mixed emotions. Number one, ayoko na nandun siya because of all the reasons we've talked about here. But number two, the Triple H promo, that could have been an email. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an unnecessary promo to kick things off. By assuring people, taking valuable TV time away and assuring people na parang walang magbabago. When in fact, we already know na may nagbago, di ba? So, na-negate lang yung oras niya doon, nasayang lang yung time niya doon. And like COVID has taught us, that easily could have been a tweet or an email.
I wouldn't go so far as to like predict that right away. Ikaw, Ro.
Oh, sige, Emil muna, ikaw muna. Emil, I have a lot to say.
Okay, so when all this happened, like after the show, after the Raw, I was also like on the crowd where we're saying that this is the end. This is parang so negative, And then 24 hours later, a part of me was thinking that maybe we just all overreacted after that Vince led Raw. I am thinking maybe this is just a one-time thing. Maybe just scratched an itch because he hasn't been this active in a long time. I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive here. And, and if Triple H is indeed in charge talaga, I think at some point he needs to have like some control over Vince. Like he should veto any if Vince was trying to rewrite or something or trying to change something. If Triple H is really that person on the creative side of things, he should have the guts to veto anything that Vince does. So that's my feelings about it. So it's like way too early to really judge anything at this moment. We only had just one show after everything else went down. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. I'm glad Emil mentioned that maybe it's a one-time thing. I want to talk about the context of Raw after Mania. People are saying it's bad. People are saying it's boring. People are going so far as to say that it's the worst episode ever in history. That's way too much of an exaggeration. Unlike many of you, I actually watch Raw every week because I have to write about it, diba? And I have been watching this. My current run of watching Raw has extended to way before Triple H took over, and I know what a Vince written Raw looks like and feels like. And for the most part, this week's Raw was not that bad. Was it not special? Yes, because many of you are hyping the Raw after Mania too much in your head. If you treat it like a normal Raw, it wasn't terrible. So that to me, it still kind of felt like a Triple H Raw. It's just that, yes, there were things that Vince oversaw and rewrote, like the Seth Rollins thing, and not really getting to say what he got to say or Bailey being written out completely, diba? So yung mga ganun, yes, I can see that where Vince is influencing, but for the most part, I still don't think this is it just yet. Yes, there were rewrites. Yes, it did seem bad, but you have to remember that for the most part, the roster wrestled 3 straight days, and you're expecting them to wrestle a fourth day. As somebody mentioned on Twitter, this is a load management Raw, so that kind of explains why Anton, there were 29 minutes of wrestling in not a 3-hour show, but a 2 hour and 20 something minute show, because that's really the actual length of Raw. But syempre, you got to give these guys a break because they have been killing themselves since SmackDown on Friday. So, pagbigyan naman sila. The real test is what when Chino said na they got rest. We got SmackDown on Friday, on Saturday our time, and if that is, if that goes back to the terrible quality of SmackDown way before Triple H came in, that's when I'll believe it. So medyo wait and see mode muna ako dito. But for the most important part about this is actually what the roster feels. Rowan is right that they do have to walk out. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't, the quality of the show shouldn't be the biggest deal, although it's kind of related to that. It should be what the roster feels working under him. So if they do not like working under him, working for Vince McMahon, then that should be the ultimate barometer of whether or not he should stay or he should go. So yun pa lang eh. He's already getting bad PR from all the stories of anonymous wrestlers not liking the idea of going back to the Vince regime. So he got to do the right thing, but I don't expect him to do the right thing because he is Vince and he's really all about himself.
All right. We kind of alluded to the bigger news here, so let's get right to it. There's a super company that Endeavor is putting together, which involves the WWE and the UFC. So, when yung strategic alternatives was originally brought up sometime late last year or early this year, Endeavor was one of the first few names that actually came up as to who might buy the WWE. And meron ng mga bulong nung WrestleMania Sunday pa lang na halay na, Endeavor's already in the picture. And then the PR came out just a few hours after WrestleMania 39 completely ended na Endeavor has acquired a 51% share of WWE, and the idea is to form a new company along with UFC that's estimated to be worth $9.3 billion. So that's a lot of money. And from where I'm standing, it seems to be a super promotion that's really poised to take over the world of combat sports. I don't know who among you guys follows the UFC closely as well, because I really don't. So I guess if any one of you actually follows the UFC closer, you might want to step in here and give us your take on how this affects both.
I have. Well, if you know better, then please go ahead.
Yeah, ikaw na. Sige, ikaw na.
No. I was just talking. We were just talking about this when the news broke. So Discord, big reason to sign up for Patreon, right? Ninong Derv was telling us na when Endeavor bought UFC, they largely left Dana White to his machinations, diba? So I don't. Even as a total outsider, I don't see anything that's totally different from the UFC today. So it could very well be WWE will still operate the way it is. Maybe Vince is going to be back there kasi Vince, siya yung nagbenta sa Endeavor. So, baka may utang na loob si Endeavor na ibalik siya dun. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's the most part. And then if that's what happens, then you're not going to see a big change to how WWE is run. Maybe you'll get, $60 pay-per-views again. Maybe we'll get that. We don't know. It will depend on how the Peacock deals, the Disney Plus deals will be renewed as it goes on. Pero, going by history, maybe that's it. I just wanted to clarify some misconceptions, though. People are clowning around on social media thinking that Endeavor already owns WWE or they're already in charge. They're not in charge. There is still a transition period. They have the sale has to be approved by overseeing entities. So the whole thing or Endeavor isn't going to be fully in control, if ever, until like late 2023. So
second half of the year. That's when they'll finalize the deal.
Cool it with the jokes. It's still WWE's company.
Also, may mga tao na nagsasabi na, hala, baka mag-MMA na si Charlotte Flair. That's not what's going to happen, guys. It's really, it really isn't what's going to happen. I don't expect any of the wrestlers to jump in the octagon. I don't expect any of the fighters to start doing WrestleMania promos. What I do expect to happen is to have two independently run companies under one banner. And I feel like it's important to make this distinction because I think the end game here is to have this super streamer that their own network, if you will, that will cater to both markets, both the MMA market and the WWE market. Kasi magkaibang sports yan eh. I don't really see them mixing the two sports right away. Hindi yan mangyayari at all. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng wrestlers gusto mag-MMA and vice versa. But what I do expect to see is to have this super network. Yun yung end game nila dito eh. You pay more money and you sign up for the WWE UFC hybrid network that they're gonna come out with maybe in a few years' time.
Hey, if that network means now we get access to Tagalog commentary ready again here in the Philippines, I'm all for it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. I don't know. I do wish we get the network back. I mean, like, sige, di na tayo partners right now. So, pwede ka na sabihin yan. So, it would be good though. It would be good. I just don't know. It's really too early to say anything because yun nga, wala pa sa kanila yung kumpanya.
Yeah, there's also one big thing about the deal, and that's the TV deals. Kasi we talked about this several weeks ago on the pod. Na one of the reasons why WWE is so lucrative is because of the TV deals with Fox and with NBC Universal, and those deals are going to continue running even when Endeavor finalizes the acquisition of WWE by the second half of the year. So in terms of like presenting WWE itself, I don't think a lot will necessarily change at face value just because the TV partners can easily dispute it din eh. Na parang, teka, hindi ito yung binili namin. Hindi yung nung nagpirmahan tayo,
Yeah,
diba?
yeah. Agree.
So that's something that for those of you who are jumping the gun and overreacting, something to temper your expectations with. Kasi it's not like all of a sudden the WWE ring's gonna be an octagon. Like that's such an exaggeration.
Although the MMA bros are pretty upset though.
Yeah, the MMA bros are upset kasi they like to use the F word, they like to throw it around, but I really don't see that happening right now. I see two separate entities existing under one banner. Also, nabanggit natin si Vince McMahon at the start of this conversation. From what I understand, from what I've read online, they really are putting Vince in a position of power. Whether that power includes creative, as the previous Raw might suggest, is still yet to be determined. Because as if I am to believe all the sources I've read, hindi na impress si Endeavor Entertainment with the way Vince ran things during Monday Night Raw.
There are diagrams being released na presenting yung supposed organizational structure nitong super company, and Vince McMahon is up top alongside Ariel Emanuel, yung pinaka-founder ng Endeavor, and Dana White is actually like a rung below them. So that's pretty interesting. Yung karang ni Dana White is Nick Khan. So I don't know exactly what that means business-wise, but it's just something that caught my attention when that was released on the internet.
Yeah.
Dana White has his own promotion now. Dana White Top Contender, if I'm not mistaken. It's a kind of parang NXT nila. Instead of having to put up an Ultimate Fighter every year, Dana White came out with his own promotion. So it's kind of them saying na, oh, Dana, balak sa buhay mo, while still including him in the conversation. He is still in charge of the UFC. He just doesn't get to make the big business decisions.
Tsaka one more thing. I know people like to make jokes to say, the jokes are what fuels, what makes us cope, diba? But Endeavor is a business and they're going to, do what's best for business. And, what's best for business isn't going to introduce UFC to the WWE or vice versa, diba? Like John Christopher says, no right business mind would really want Lesnar as both WWE and UFC champ at the same time. Like, you're really gonna make one guy the real and fake fighting champion at the same time. So syempre may magrereklamo dun, and they're not gonna risk that just because of the memes, So I think if you're legitimately worried about how being in the same company as the UFC is going to affect WWE, I think you should relax a little bit.
Yeah. So there. Emil, Rowan, I'll get you your airtime in a bit when we go talk about WrestleMania. But first, we got to take a break and hear from our other podcasts right here on Podcast Network Asia. All right, it's time to process our WrestleMania feels, and we got to start with the Cody decision. Cody Rhodes was the guy that a lot of people were hoping to finally dethrone Roman Reigns, and well, Roman Reigns is still champion 940-ish days and counting. So Rowan, what did you think about how this all went down, and were you one of those people who was so disappointed when Roman got the 1-2-3?
Siyempre.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Emil, I remember you predicted for Cody to win, diba, on the prediction stream last week. So what was that like seeing it go down at Skinny Mike's?
When it happened, of course, I was also shocked kasi everyone was pretty much basically predicting a Cody win. Everyone was ready for the coronation of Cody Rhodes. Pero hindi nangyari. And nung talaga nangyari, I was shocked. I was quite disappointed. I saw the mixed reactions to the people sa Skinny Mics, and I really, pinag-isipan ko talaga yung kung it was the right thing to do. It was, if Cody losing was okay. And for me, I'm gonna get to this point now, and kasi weeks leading into WrestleMania, I can't find the reason talaga to root for Cody Rhodes. And I kept thinking, is Cody really the guy to dethrone Roman? And honestly, at the end, I just joined the bandwagon. Maybe he is because, it's a popular thing to do. And but I should have trusted my gut and said, he's not the person. He's not the person to beat Roman. Kasi, and I think in general, people, the reason why I think they just rooted for Cody is they just want to get the title off of Roman more than have Cody win it. And that's a general feeling na feel ko. So,
Chino, people are also saying na Cody, upon his return to WWE, hasn't really had that underdog struggle. And parang everything has come relatively easy for him. Goes out and wins the Rumble from number 30. He's been undefeated up until WrestleMania 39. So in a way, what he went through at 39 with Roman beating him and then the subsequent heel turn from Brock, that's really his first piece of struggle on this uphill climb.
Yes, definitely. Because some people might see it as him being buried, given the Vince treatment. I only see it as a setback for a comeback, because if they really are serious with putting the title on Cody Rhodes, they will put him through some tests first to really see how this story plays out. And what better test is than the Beast Incarnate Lesnar? Now, with regards to the title being kept on Roman Reigns, I feel like they did that mostly for metrics, kasi nga, ibebenta yung WWE and they need a banner head in terms of story and celebrity status. And the biggest guy they have right now, currently active, is Roman Reigns. So feeling ko yun lang din yung naging factor with the story, with the title change.
Ro, di ba si Triple H did the press con thing and he was asked about the whole finish the story thing, and with the way that he answered, he basically told us now, wait lang, who said the story was over?
Yeah, before he even said that, before I heard he said that, sinabi ko na I didn't want Cody. I mean, I don't like Cody. I didn't really want him to win, but I was prepared for the eventuality that yes, he was going to win because big feel good moment. Like, yeah, the crowd deserves that. But it was also really hilarious to have Roman win. So jokes on you, everyone else. But if I were here last week, I would have just said that yeah, Cody would have or might have won rather, and even if I wanted Roman to win, that would have been the logical choice. When he didn't win, I kind of agreed naman that was a nice place to win, but it could be better. Like the whole point he was harping the entire time was finish the story, diba? And just because he lost doesn't really mean the story is over. The finish he was referring to was when he finally won the championship. That is the actual finish, and because we didn't get that yet, the story isn't finished. So tama nga, there is more left to this. I'm sorry, Antonio. Yeah, happy endings are fun, but sometimes you don't get what you want. Yes, I can stand another year of Roman because the storytelling around him has been undeniably good. Yung bloodline pala, yung sa kanila pa nga lang, they have been knocking it out of the park. Like, I'm sorry you get to witness more Roman Championship defenses and more sad, sneaky, interference finishes, but they really did uh, uh, put in so much effort into making the bloodline stuff watchable. I posted the whole Sammy and Kevin and the Usos exchange last week before WrestleMania, and I said it was still the bigger story versus compared to Roman and Cody. Um, it's just really that much better. They really just did uh they really did a better job of telling that story. And I think by allowing Cody to fail and then go after the whole thing again, I think this is their way of finally including Cody doon sa high quality storytelling that they've been spreading amongst themselves, and by extension people like Sami Zayn, diba, and Kevin Owens. So this is it. I know that you guys don't want to see another year or so at most of the struggle. I know that's the absolute worst. When TJP was here, he told us of this concept called emotional traffic, and that was the part where the thing has slowed down that to the point that you don't like it anymore. But that's the part where that's the part that makes you want to see the big comeback even more. So I know that y'all are emotional. uh your emotions have been have been trampled on by the booking by Triple H, and you were hooked in only to be shot through the heart, diba? But I think that there is more to this, and I personally think I don't know him at all, but I don't think Cody and his family would have signed off on taking two big L's back to back on Sunday and on Monday without being promised a feast at Valhalla at the very end, diba? So yeah, it's terrible, but I know that you guys don't like hearing let's let it play out, but
So
sila na
sasali
nga,
siya sa Viking Raiders. Ganun.
yeah, sila na nga yung sila na nga yung nag-usap-usap eh. Feeling ko talaga may promise yun sa pinakadulo. So, yeah, trust the process, I guess. It's what I'm saying. I know I can't make you trust the process, but it is what it is. And it sucks, but if you're a real fan as well, I don't think you should give up.
Yeah, after WrestleMania 39 wrapped, I got so many messages from people, either casual fans or people I'm loosely connected to who follow wrestling, and they're like, "What the hell was that?" And so many violent reactions to the ending, and I can't comment on that. Number one, two, I was so tired from having called WrestleMania 2 days in a row. Now I didn't even know how to process those emotions, but there's so much disappointment here surrounding the Cody loss, which I guess speaks to the point that they did such a good job of making people invested in Cody Rhodes' arc. But my question is, for a WrestleMania that we seem to generally enjoy, does this ending ruin that WrestleMania for you? And this is for everyone on the panel.
No, I'll start off. No, because they really did a good job in making us believe that Cody really was gonna win. Like lahat ng shenanigans na pwede mangyari dun sa match na yun nangyari. All the false finishes that Triple H could come up with. Diba? The kick out from the finishers, the interruption from the Usos, diba? And we really believe na hindi lang it wasn't just that Cody stood a chance, but that he was actually going to walk away with the title. It was really believable at that point. Until we got that finish that we got, and Solo Sikoa was an important factor in that. So the trolling I really like, because it really just goes to show na hindi pa nga tapos yung story, like people are saying.
Yeah.
Or like Ro was saying.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else?
Kids, go ahead.
Who's that?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
I guess I'll go ahead. No, hindi naman kasi I was emotionally invested in it. And that time of the match flew by so fast because I was literally invested in the match. So the disappointment I felt after the match was part of the experience of watching that match. So for me, hindi naman naruin yung the way it all ended. It didn't ruin my viewing experience of the entire thing.
Oh, Rowan. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. Big boy ka na.
Good job.
You've got a long road ahead of you, Rowan ASH. There will be more things that you want that you might not get.
Wala pa nga siyang gout eh.
No, but that's good, Rowan, because so many people were in their feels and they're still joking about, why didn't Cena and Batista get, a year of struggle before winning their championships at WrestleMania 21. But people are so salty about this, and the fact that you are able to keep it at arm's length, that's really great. That's really commendable, especially as a analyst of wrestling. So
yeah, that's messed up. That was so messed up.
Yeah, that's way out of line.
Yeah. Okay. For my answer, well, first you can see the video of the finished reaction to see what my feelings about that were. But for the real thing though, no, syempre no. That one thing didn't overshadow the other great things that we got, because it's unfair that people are saying that, we didn't get what we want. You didn't get the one big thing that you wanted, but we also got other big things that we wanted. We got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens successfully defeating the Usos. The fact that was overlooked by your Cody Rhodes tantrums is super unfair to them and to their fans, diba? We got
especially since sila nagdala ng story.
To call Triple H out on denying you what you wanted just because Cody didn't win is totally overlooking the fact that Sami Zayn got a really great moment, even though you can say na consolation prize kasi hindi siya nanalo for sa Elimination Chamber. That was still they managed to do a great job of making us care about that, even though it wasn't the biggest championship ever. So doesn't credit deserve to be given to the people in charge for that? Rhea Ripley getting a nice win after a nice match, getting that template, getting those minutes to put on the match that they put on. Seth Rollins defeating the evil that is Logan Paul. And Logan Paul wowing everyone once again. Gunther and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre putting on a banger after banger. Did that not deserve to get the praises just because the ultimate blue balls happened? That was unfair.
So I just want to add this, no? Like for weeks on the pod, we were saying this storyline between Cody and Roman feels like hindi siya yung main story. So people are acting as if they didn't get the big end, the ending of the main story. So kasi siningit lang si Cody dito, and I didn't really see any reasons for me to root for him weeks leading into the WrestleMania. So, and then suddenly it seems like the reaction from the people is like they've been building this up for a long time, and this is like the ultimate ball drop moment, which for me hindi naman talaga eh. So I didn't feel as devastated.
I think the reason people have for being on for starting the bandwagon, for driving the bandwagon, was the whole they mistreated Cody nung first time niya, so to the point that people still remember Stardust, and then he left, he got successful outside WWE, and then he comes back, they let him keep the persona that he developed outside of the WWE, and finally took him seriously as a main eventer. So that's their big reason as to why Cody Rhodes should be pushed, which obviously is not like the biggest reason why you should win a championship, diba? So kung yun lang, then that's not really, that's just a meta thing.
Yeah.
All right. Any other feels about the Cody decision? Because we got to talk about the Sami decision as well.
Yeah.
We can move on to the Sami thing.
All right, let's talk about Sami Zayn. So, as Ro mentioned, it was so huge for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to have that moment for a tag team championship match to main event WrestleMania Night 1, for a tag team match to even be in this spot. Ro, you alluded to people saying that demotion yun. It certainly didn't feel that way with the drama, the emotion, the stakes that went into this match, the reverence that Stinerico fans, that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fans, WWE fans have towards this story, towards this tag team, and how yung thread that really ties it all together are universal emotions, diba? Like family and brotherhood and friendship. So, you're right. I do agree with you, Ro, when you say na it's so unfair to what the Usos and KO and Sami did because they pulled off a hell of a main event nung night 1.
Yes, sir. Hey, I already said what I said. This one was them finishing the story. So you can't say that Triple H cannot finish the story when he delivered you a real feel good moment for everyone. Kasi under Vince, there was a real chance that this would have also gone the Usos' way. Diba? So that's how you know that someone else is in charge.
Mm-hmm. Chino, I know you're a huge KO fan, and did it ever occur to you that this is the first time Kevin Owens has been champion in 6 years?
Actually, no. Inisip ko din yun when they finally won it. Inisip ko kung ilang beses na siya nag-champion, what championships he's held, and kung make tag team championship na siya dati, all that. It's been a while since we've seen Kevin Owens in the spotlight. But I'd just like to commend the creative team behind the story, because I was also part of the people that believed that Sami Zayn should have walked away with the Universal Championship at the Elimination Chamber. Also part of the people who were disappointed. But after everything was said and done, looking back at it, nakikita mo yung tunay na arc nitong kwento na to that Kevin Owens really was integral in Sami Zayn's redemption arc. That he needed to be there for Sami Zayn to actually finish his own story. Kasi kung wala siya doon, mag-isa lalaban ni Sami Zayn yun, yung Usos, and then it wouldn't make sense, diba? So having them strip the Usos away from this record-breaking tag team championship run really was just a poignant way to end the story on.
People are saying, Emil, na Charlotte and Rhea were supposed to be in the main event, and that's why parang may konting added gigil tong sina Charlotte and Rhea during their match. But now that the dust has settled on WrestleMania, Emil, do you think na it was right to have KO and Sami in that spot?
We talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, we. I don't think we have released the pick of the week episode.
It actually just came out, so but okay, you can rehash for the people.
Yeah. We did say on the pick of the week episode na yes, tama lang na this was the way WrestleMania went down. The tag team titles main eventing, because this match was better. Like the story of this match was much more compelling. The build was much more better than the women's match. So okay lang yun na that was the main event, because of that nagkaroon ng chip si Rhea and Charlotte on their shoulders to deliver on their match, because they were originally rumored to be the main event. So parang it was a win-win situation between those two matches.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other feels about Sami and KO and their huge WrestleMania moment?
No, deserved nila.
Yeah, deserved. Yeah, so, and to think na they both started together and then they really, magkasama sila from their days in the Indies and then PWG, Ring of Honor, and now, they get to main event WrestleMania and win the tag team titles. Like, there's no other two persons as intertwined in the wrestling business as much as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, sobrang angas yung PWG tribute and the Super Dragon tribute in their tights.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was cool.
They paid
the fact that
the Briscoes, diba? And the Briscoes and Super Dragon and PWG. It was good guys of them to call to pay tribute to the people that helped them along the way.
Yeah, di lang yun. It was also acknowledged by sina Michael Cole on commentary. And, you can bet your ass as soon as they said it, we repeated that shit on commentary then. We just take our cues from them, honestly. Pag sinabi ni Michael Cole, sige, alud din natin, di ba?
Buti di nagalit si Tatang, di ba?
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Hell in a Cell and Bianca Belair's win. And we're also going to be evaluating WrestleMania. We're going to zoom out and give our grades. But first, another break. And here's a word from our other podcasts right here on Podcast Network Asia. Our supersized stream has come to the audio-only part. So thanks for sticking around for this portion of the episode. We're gonna start with Jay White kasi siya yung pinag-uusapan ng mga tao leading into the Raw after WrestleMania. People were speculating that he would be the big surprise either at Mania or the Raw after Mania, and then he ends up showing up on AEW Dynamite. He's all elite. He's come to the aid of his good old buddy Juice Robinson, and they've kickstarted this program with Ricky Starks. Chino, are you surprised at all that Jay White went in this direction?
Honestly, yes. I really wanted to see him in the WWE, if only because AEW always and will always have this full-on roster where everybody needs to shine, everybody needs a spotlight. So now I'm here counting the days until we see Jay White and Dark. You guys might laugh when I say that, but you know it's coming.
Would someone like Jay White actually be on Dark? I highly doubt that.
No. Okay, I think I have to clarify this. It's not really a big demotion anymore. Toni Storm is on Dark, but Toni Storm said that she does it because she wants to wrestle every week. So, yung mindset pa lang na yun is enough to not always paint Dark as this purgatory of people who don't get to appear on TV. Sometimes there is just no space on TV. So, there is at least an easily accessible, easily watchable program in which they don't always, do the squash matches. Sometimes they pull out some really good. Some really long stuff. So it's not like a giant fuck you to them or, a sidelining or a benching. So sometimes it really just is that, it do be what it is sometimes.
Ro, what are your feelings towards Jay White picking AEW over supposedly having WWE as an option?
I do not care for Jay White a lot. I think I've made this clear before. I still don't think Jay White is that guy. The crowd is just hyping him up the same way they hype up Cody Rhodes. Although, kasi Cody naman kahit paano, I was a big believer in Cody Rhodes back in the Stardust days, back in his first run. Right now, yes, Jay White is good. I will never discredit a major league wrestler as not being good, because if they are there in that spot, then they are doing something right. It's just that he does nothing for me. He does nothing for a lot of people. I don't see how the creative in either WWE or AEW will make him more compelling to me. So I didn't really care where he landed. I just thought it was weird that people were blaming Triple H or Vince McMahon for Jay White not being trotted out no Raw after Mania. Then they find out that Jay White was actually on his way to Dynamite, diba? So for all we know, that could have been his decision. It's surprising lang because I always knew from past interviews that Jay was a big WWE fan and WWE was the reason why he became a wrestler. So interesting that he didn't go that route. It also feels like he didn't really leave because AEW has a relationship with NJPW, so he could always come back to work for NJPW again, despite yung stipulations of his last match. So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know how he figures in. I even forget that Juice Robinson was in the AEW roster at times. So may point si Chino kahit papano na he will get lost in the shuffle, but I think, to his credit, I think he is buzzworthy enough the same way, Soraya is, for him to be justified in being kept on TV.
Ikaw, Emil, did Jay White's Dynamite debut have your fandom buzzing?
Not really, since, again, I'm not much of a big fan of Jay White. I've said that on the show so many times na, like, for someone NJPW pushed to be a main eventer, I didn't feel like na fulfill niya yung potential na yun. And that's why I wanted him to go to WWE, because it's going to be a change of scenery. It's going to be a new change for Jay White, maybe a new name, maybe a new character. But instead, because of that relationship that AEW has with NJPW, it's the same old switchblade character that I'm sick of. So I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me. Like, I'm not one of those guys who is excited for Jay White. Like, yes, he was an IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Oh, he's a main eventer in New Japan, but all of that doesn't mean anything right now in AEW. So I don't know. I really wanted him to go to WWE. That's the one thing I really wish he could have done. But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad. No, wait, sorry. I'm glad he mentioned yung new character, new name, possible new stuff. I would bet that he gets a new name. The same way Prince Devitt did, the same way Kevin Owens did.
Kasi hindi siya as matunog as AJ Styles.
Yeah, I don't think he would be immune to that. And I think people would hate it. So you miss out on Jay White coming to WWE, but do you really miss out if there's a chance that they're gonna change him? Diba? So people already got mad at Carl Fredericks, a literal rookie, getting his name changed. And what more this? Diba? Then people will wish he didn't come to WWE.
Yeah. So by the looks of it, based on what all of you said, parang okay lang na he chose Dynamite over Monday Night Raw or SmackDown.
Plus, just to add one last thing, I would have been okay with it if it was him going to AEW. If it was a brand new gimmick, if it wasn't really associated anymore with the Bullet Club. Kasi ang nangyari, parang he just crossed over from NJPW. It didn't really feel like a big debut in my eyes because he was playing the same character that we already saw on AEW TV last year.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's stick to AEW here and talk about that new show, AEW All-Access. So when I first saw the trailers, I thought it was AEW making a weekly version of WWE 24. And I don't know about you guys, but I love WWE 24. But what I saw when I watched the debut episode was pretty shocking because they basically aired a lot of dirty laundry from existing issues that haven't been fully resolved. And it's all right there for people like Britt Baker or the Young Bucks to openly talk about reality show style. And it was kind of cringy to me kasi these are internal issues na very fresh pa, hindi pa siya resolved. And, kami ni Ro, having come from a place where we love to air our dirty laundry, it's not a good look.
I'll give them a little bit of credit. They didn't outright talk about it, diba? They kind of alluded to it, pero the fact remains that it was still put forth there. Pero I haven't seen the second episode yet, but I think the second episode dives, stays away from that.
No, they get into Sammy and Eddie Kingston.
Okay, sorry. I did not see the second episode. So, okay, that's a big problem. The thing is when tea is spilled, backstage tea is spilled, generally in the wrestling industry, especially if it's the company in question, diba? That's usually stuff na tapos na, way past, and either the persons involved are long retired or dead. Yeah, diba? Not when it's happening in real time. So to me, it feels like AEW and Tony Khan by extension is using the allure of the buzz of these real life drama issues to sell yung kanyang documentary series. Now, yes, it works. It really works because there are a lot of fans who buy into this stuff, ourselves included, diba? But it's problematic kasi it kind of subtly encourages people to have beefs if they don't already have beefs yet. Diba? And tapos for those who already do have beefs to never resolve it kasi you can use it as material for your documentary series. So
for TV time.
Yeah, diba? So like, come on, man. It's just bad form to perpetuate the toxicity. You're never gonna completely get rid of it, but at least you can do so much to downplay it, diba? And not encourage it. It feels like this is like a tacit or implicit na acceptance na this shit happens, so we might as well make money out of it. I mean, not after it's done, but while it's still going on, diba? And then maybe not resolve it anymore because we're still busy making money off of it. So really bad look. And not everyone is going to see it this way, but it's still pretty insidious if you know.
Yeah, Chino, Emil, you might have different opinions, but I just want to add to that before I let you guys get into it. Kasi Rose right na parang it's low-key encouraging them. And when you look at organizations, you're all supposed to be on the same team. Diba? And for you to be portraying na, oh, may issue dito sa coworker ko, and for you to actually be displaying that stuff on camera, it's not good form. Kasi dapat nga, sama-sama kayo. You're supposed to be lifting each other up. Even though wrestling is a competitive business na you all want to be the champion, you all want to be a main eventer, at the end of the day, you're also supposed to be serving your promotion or your company. But something like this is contradictory to that. It's very counterintuitive, and it just doesn't sit well with me na parang ina-encourage nila na, hindi, wag niyong i-resolve ng peacefully, ng maturely yung away niyo kasi material yan para sa TV show natin. Parang, for what? At what cost? Yun yung hindi ko maintindihan.
Yeah.
For my end, the only thing I didn't like about it was how Tony Khan, genius booker that he is, uses the drama, that the real life issues, shall we say. Drama trivializes it, but the real life problems that AEW is facing for his own benefit. Parang kumbaga lumalabas na binabaliit niya yung totoong problema na nangyayari. And that's a bad look for a company whose CEO, whose head guy, main booker, is just throwing this out there. Diba? Kasi dapat internal yan eh. Diba? Kahit may problema kayo, at least the facade of unity is important. Diba?
Unity.
Diba? Like something that displays some sort of cohesion instead of doing what Tony Khan did is important. Kasi paano papasok yung corporate synergy dyan? Paano mag-invest yung tao sa'yo kung totoo pala yung nangyayari tapos binabaliit lang ng management yung problema nyo, diba? Si John Moxley has been on record saying that AEW has been one of the most problematic places he's been a part of. Diba? And what does Tony Khan do? He turns it into a TV show. Like, I don't understand the logic behind it, honestly.
And so for me, this doesn't really feel like a WWE 24. This feels more of a Jersey
TMZ.
Shore or
Jersey Shore.
Or
Real Housewives, ganun.
Yeah, mga ganun na they thrive more on creating these controversies na sobrang problematic. And AEW is a company na they should keep all of these problems internally. So I don't know. I don't get the logic of Britt Baker burying the women's champion and it being aired on worldwide television. So if I was like an like a free agent and I see this stuff all over TV, would I even consider it hinder me for me to want to come there? Because they're airing all of these out for the people to see instead of instead of talking it amongst themselves. So sobrang they should improve on how to present this program. They should be more of WWE 24 where it's literally a documentary of what is happening instead of these beefs just to create buzz, just to cash in on all of these. So again, they should do better than what we already seen in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know firsthand what you're talking about. Okay lang. I mean, okay, di mo pipigilan like if the dirt sheets come across the beef, right, and expose the beef, or sige, even if the wrestlers themselves tweet it out, diba? You have to stop them, but sometimes you can't stop them. It's the worst when the company is explicitly sponsoring the whole thing. And,
exactly.
It's just really bad.
Medyo malabo din yung show kasi MJF is he's bound to have like some sort of story arc on the show, pero he's in character, whereas everyone is really pulling back the curtain and letting you know na who I am on TV is different from who I am in real life. Like best example, Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello, diba? They actually act and talk normally, whereas MJF is still kayfabe on. So it's like pick a lane.
Kaya siya iniiwan ng fiancé niya eh. No, I assume that's why. Anyway.
Yeah.
This show needs to be so much better. All right, let's cross over back to WWE and let's talk about NXT here. Two huge things coming out of Stand and Deliver. Carmelo Hayes and Indy Hartwell, new champions. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, also new champions. But the headline seems to be that Braun Breaker has now turned heel. So he attacked Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams in the closing segment of the NXT After Stand and Deliver. And I gotta ask you, Chino, do you think this is a response to the CWC crowd having already turned on Braun several weeks ago?
I believe so. I believe this is their way of giving Braun something different, an edge to him. Sort of. Kasi, di ba, yung mga promos niya up until this point have been all about respect. The mutual respect he has for his opponent, di ba? The mandates he goes on before he challenges the guy he's supposed to face, right? So, yeah, I agree that they needed to give Braun something because I don't believe that this guy is as nice. Hindi naman siya kupal siya in real life. But I would much rather believe na masama talaga siyang tao na maangas siya than to believe na, oh, I'm all about respect. I'm all about respecting you and shake hands and get our haircut together and all that. Like, mas believable sa akin yung converse of that action.
Mm-hmm.
Buti di siya ginawang transphobe. Oof. Yeah. I agree. It was time. Actually, it was a good time. The double turn could have happened at the show, but yeah, it was a really good time for them to do that. Yun, kahit paano, they still deliver on these things that people want. So it's not a matter of they want to troll you because it's fun to troll you. Sometimes, or most of the time, a good number of the time, they will do what is needed. So I'm happy for this. I hope this means Braun can stop wearing those weird tie-dye singlets. Yeah, Carmelo Hayes does deserve to be a face act. I think the two of them, Sid and Trick, have been essentially faces for a long time now. It just hasn't been codified yet on how they are portrayed. So good stuff. I like it.
Ikaw, Emil, do you think Braun will still have that dog in him?
Probably not as a heel. It's a good booking decision for him to turn heel kasi the crowd has been not really against him, pero you can start to see the crowd, getting tired of his shtick, getting tired of his gimmick. So now him being as a heel, there's a new layer. This is what we were talking about Braun Breaker before when we talk about all throughout his tenure in NXT. Walang character development. He's been champ already twice, but we still don't see any character. He was still the same guy, but now as a heel, he gets to have this new layer, the new page of the Braun Breaker character that can be explored. And for Melo is also, I think it's time for him to turn babyface because he is so much beloved by the CWC crowd and the people online. And for me, he's really he has that swagger that kind of reminds me of Allen Iverson, and he's one of the most lovable players of his time. So good. So Melo as a face, I think, could really work a lot, and I am looking forward to seeing this feud because again, this is one of those feuds that really only started recently. So maybe there's going to be a follow-up match down the line, and I'm really looking forward to that.
All right. And finally, Noam Dar. He's back in WWE.
Yes.
He made his return along with the NXT UK Heritage Cup, which I just absolutely love. I hope this means the return of the Heritage Rules matches that I really enjoyed. Ro, let's get into it.
Yeah. Nakita kasi nila yung Manila Rules. No. Who would have thought?
Yeah, that's why.
Who would have thought that we're getting the Heritage Cup rules in the States? Diba? I mean, you can't bring that big thing all the way from the UK and not use the rules. Diba? This is going to be fun because you can't rush through Heritage Cup rules as much as in general. You can try by having a quick knockout, but for the most part, it's going to be a pretty long affair, and that's usually why they usually end up being good matches. So I love this. I love that Noam Dar was hired back because he was one of the best veterans that they had on the brand, and then another veteran down in NXT is always a good thing because they're always cycling through the vets there. So a really nice surprise, and I like that they brought them back.
Yeah. Sobrang sayang panoorin ni Noam Dar as a character, so I'm super happy for him. Emil, you've got a smile on your face.
Yeah, Siguro I'm more happy that the Heritage Cup is finally back on NXT canon rather than. Although it's good seeing Norm Dar back, but I'm really more excited with for the prospects of having the Heritage Cup be a thing now in NXT. Now that they brought it up once again, because not a lot of people saw how great it was in NXT UK. And those yung mga shows on was also with a limited crowd, but now gets to be on a much grander stage, and I think people will really like the format. Plus, kasi the NXT and the North American title, parang masyado na siyang parehas. Like the only difference is the other guys who are not competing for the NXT title are competing for the North American title. But with the Heritage Cup, it's a different dynamic compared to the two titles, the two main titles on NXT. This one, there's a specific, I think, specific set of rules, a specific set of wrestlers who compete for it. So it's gonna make for some exciting matches down the line.
Ikaw, Chino.
I believe that you guys are correct in what you say. I still want to wait on the fact that on how NXT is going to change because of the sale. Is NXT part of the Vince Dominion? Will Shawn Michaels stay in charge? Because then we won't even see the Heritage Cup. Probably we'll get like some stupid amalgamation of it. Right? Does Vince know what to do with this stipulation? I don't think so. That wasn't his idea to bring it on to the UK side of things. So it's interesting. I am excited to see the Heritage Cup actually matter again. Because I loved all of those matches that were contested under those rules. It also comes with a certain trepidation because of the things that have happened from here on out, diba? So paano ba to? Like does NXT as a whole change? Is it part of the sale? Diba? I mean, we know that it's part of the sale, but is Vince gonna take over that as well? Are we going to go back to NXT 2.0 again? We still don't know. And also, I want to say a special shout out to Indy Hartwell, because we seem to have glossed over the fact that this girl was been a mainstay in NXT all the way from the black and gold days, is now your women's champion. So sobrang, like, I know it's not everybody's first choice, but I love how they made the underdog the winner here, and I'm just all for it.
Yeah, really loved that the way moment. Right, as Indy was celebrating, Dexter Loomis actually appearing to help Indy make that climb, and then Johnny and Candice being a proud mama and papa. So, feel good moment yan. Probably my favorite moment from Stand and Deliver.
Yeah. Agree. She deserves it. Tagal na dun, and they only gave her a look now. So, interesting choice, but well-deserved choice as well.
Right, if there are no more feels from NXT and Stand and Deliver, then that's the end of the audio-only portion of this podcast. Thank you as always for checking out our work, and you can be part of the conversation on Twitter and on TikTok at Wrestling2XPod.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company,